Is this the untimely end of Millhouse?
But Millhouse is my name.
But I thought I was the only one.
A pain I know all too well.
So this is what it feels like when doves cry.
That's right. That must be what it feels like when doves cry. As Minnesota comes into Portland wearing their Prince-inspired purple jerseys and beat your Portland Trailblazers 124-121. Although they did battle mightily in this one, they just fell a little bit short. So let's talk about it. Welcome into the fifth quarter. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you'd like to join the conversation with us tonight, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Of course, you can go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and join the conversation there. And you can always hit us up on the Rip City Radio text line. 88528 is the text number. We talked about it in the pregame show, that the Blazers need to come out, play good defense, lock in, keep controlling the ball. They kind of did that. They did not turn the ball over at the same clip as the last time they played the Timberwolves, and defensively they were as locked in as you could be. They did have a few little lapses here and there. I thought that Toumani Camara was exceptional on Anthony Edwards, despite the fact that Anthony Edwards still dropped 34 points. There was quite a few shots in this one where you just looked over and were just like, oh my gosh, like what do you do? It was absolute perfect defense on Anthony Edwards from Toumani Camara, and the ball still hit nothing but the bottom of the net. Like, what do we do? Like, you can't stop that. Man, that's just he's phenomenal. He's absolutely phenomenal. Gobert is still a big man that commands a lot of attention on both sides of the ball, and Jaden McDaniels absolutely went off. It was a good game from Minnesota, and again, quite frankly, a good game from the Portland Trailblazers. In fact, we got to focus in on the box score and talk about it. It's time for the Rip City Recap. All right, let's take a look at what happened in this game tonight. The Blazers, like I said, defensively, I thought they were good. They definitely had their moments, and they were doing everything they could to keep Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves at bay. But it was, man, just the Minnesota Timberwolves are the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're good for a reason. The game did start out a little clunky, and the Blazers were trying to find their offense, and you got a couple nice shots, like this one from Jeremy Grant.
Batted around out the Holiday up top. Thought about the three, gives it to Grant. Wide open from downtown. Buries it. The extra effort all started with the Klingon swat and steal.
And as Travis said, it was the extra efforts. A lot of effort in this one. Chris Murray came in. He was great on the glass defensively. He had some stops. Matisse Thybulle was kind of getting into it with Julius Randle early. And then Scoot Henderson came in, and plays like this definitely brought the energy.
Here's Klingon on the three-point line near side. Dumps the pass off for Scoot. Sees the seam, drives and hammers it down.
That's right. Scoot was getting above the rim, having some fun. He wasn't the only one, though. Sidy Cissoko trying to get in as well.
Sidy Cissoko gets a steal right as he comes in. He takes off, drives, and dunks it in. Rip Sidy with the dunk as he takes it coast to coast.
My man, Sidy, coming in with the energy.
He was coming in with the energy. And Scoot Henderson, what I loved about him today, it was attack, attack, attack.
Scoot's got it. Jab step in front of DiVincenzo. Now he takes off. Crosses and attacks. Center of the lane, up and under, around and in. That's a terrific take from Scoot Henderson. Thybulle near side. Now driving, pick it up, looking for Scoot on the drive, hammers it down. What a feed from Matisse Thybulle. And Scoot flexes as he makes it a 4-point game. 15 for Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, Scoot Henderson absolutely had a wonderful game. Now, there was a play in this game. I got to play this highlight for you. It was a little scary. Sidy Cissoko goes up for a jam. He gets hit hard. He falls hard. He jumps right back up, and just listen to the crowd reaction.
Now Scoot sees the seam and kicks the Thybulle. Ball fake, corner. Cissoko ball fake, drives, goes up, fouled on his way up by Dosunmu. Cissoko didn't like it. Now McDaniels pushes him from behind. Both teams getting in there. Scoot pushes McDaniels out of the way. And Sidi Sissoko clapping his hands, getting the crowd fired up, and that's why Rip City loves Rip City.
That is right. That is why Rip City loves Rip City. That was a good call there by Travis Demers. In fact, Michael Shacker, I need that clip. That needs to be in every intro to game day in the fifth quarter moving forward. I love it. That's why Rip City loves Rip City. That was nice. The energy was there. The Blazers battled. But then in the fourth quarter, they just couldn't get it done against the Timberwolves. As Sean said in the YouTube chat, not a terrible game, but Minnesota is just a better team. They're fully healthy, and that's what a playoff team looks like. And I thought that the physicality of that game was going to be a tough go for the Blazers, and the fact that they matched up with them and played them pretty well in that aspect, I definitely think was a good thing for Portland. Taking a look at the box score, Timberwolves outscored the Blazers 33-27 in the first quarter. The Blazers rebounded, outscoring Minnesota 32-29 in the third. It was a 35-34 advantage for Portland in the third quarter, and then a 28-27 advantage for Minnesota in the fourth. I mean, you look at that, it was a pretty tight game all the way around. That first quarter may have been the difference. Points in the paint, it was 52-46 in favor of Portland. Second chance points, 23-17 in favor of Portland. Fast break points, another thing we talked about in the pregame show, because that was somewhere where Minnesota excelled last game. They did beat Portland 13-5. Bench points favored Portland 40-19. Turnovers 16 apiece, so they Blazers definitely got that number down. And then points off turnovers did favor Portland 24-16. So then you start trying to look at where the game really did break down. And I feel like in a game that was decided by just 3 points, in reality it felt more like a 6-point game, because it did take that last second shot by Jeremy Grant to make it a 3-point game. You look at the 3-point line, where Minnesota was able to hit 17 shots from there. Meanwhile, Portland hit just 14, and then Minnesota overall ended up hitting 5 more field goals. Free throw wise, Portland went to the line 11 more times and hit 10 more free throws, but the field goals did them in at the end of the day. It was a close game, and you're not playing for moral victories, but when you come in against a team that is one of the best in the Western Conference, and you know that they're going to give you all they got, you got to be ready for it. I thought the Blazers answered. Now, you don't have Shaedon Sharpe, who's been one of your best scorers all year long. You don't have Denny Avdia, who's been your best player all year long. So you have to figure out other guys to get going for you offensively. And I thought the Blazers were able to do that, despite the fact that it is a lot harder to move that offense without a guy like Denny out there. Toumani Camara had 11 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. 21 points from Jeremy Grant. Donovan Clingan, 11 points, 16 rebounds, and 2 blocked shots. Drew Holiday had 22 points, 4 assists, 3 boards. He also did have 5 turnovers. Chris Murray, like we talked about, very big performance. 16 points, 5 huge rebounds, and 2 blocked shots. He was 7-10 from the floor. Scoot Henderson arguably had one of his best games of the season. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, just 2 turnovers. He was 7 of 18 from the floor. The 3-point shot wasn't falling, but he was playing with some bounce, especially early on, trying to get to the rim, trying to get everyone involved. It was a very, very good start for him and a great game all the way around. And then Sidi Sissoko had 3 points, 8 points from Vit Krejci. Matisse Thybulle had 10, including 2 from beyond the arc. On the Minnesota side of things, man, the first game they came in, Ant scored 40+. The next game, Julius Randle drops 40+. And in this one, Ant led the team with 34 points. He was 11 of 27 from the floor, 5 of 13 from beyond the arc. He also had 4 rebounds and 4 assists. Jaden McDaniels, 29 points on a super efficient 12 of 16 shooting, 5 of 6 from beyond the arc. He also had 5 of the team's 8 block shots. He was a force on both ends of the floor. Julius Randle, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and really he was getting fits, man. Matisse Thybulle and Toumani Camara on him for much of the game, and he didn't like that. They were getting physical and getting in his face. He was getting physical and getting back in their face. It was actually just a little bit of old school basketball going on, and they didn't need to run through him, Minnesota, because McDaniels and Ant were playing so well, but it was definitely felt like it was a point of emphasis to watch what he could do because he went off against Portland in Minnesota 10 days ago. Now, Rudy Gobert had 10 points, 19 rebounds, 2 blocked shots. As we said, 34 points from Anthony Edwards. Dante DiVincenzo, 19 points, 5 of 10 from beyond the arc, and it felt like he hit a big three every single time they needed one. Oyo Desonmu had 7 points, 8 points from Naz Reid, Bones Highland, and Terrence Shannon Jr. each had 2. And that's how the game shook out. I think you look at it all the way around, it was pretty even. I mean, total rebounds were 44-41 in favor of the Blazers. Assists were 27-26 in favor of the Blazers. There was 15 lead changes in this game. Like it was a good game. It was a really good basketball game. Sometimes you just can't get all the way through and get the layup. Get the layup. That's what a texter said. Threw me off. But sometimes you just can't get all the way through and get the win. It just happens. I don't think it's something to be too upset about. As one of our texters says, nice to see Chris Murray finally looking competent on the offensive side of the ball. His best performance as a Blazer. It was a really solid game. He didn't smoke his layups. He got huge rebounds defensively. He was locked in. I've defended Chris Murray for quite some time, and I think it's clear that he is definitely a rotation player at the NBA level. He can have his ups and he can have his downs, but overall, he's not a terrible player. There are some people that definitely don't like him. I'm not one of them. I just thought, overall, it was a good game from him. In fact, they needed him to play like that in the starting lineup since 2 of your early starters are out. Your day one starters and Shaedon Sharpe and Denny Avdia aren't playing, so you need someone to fill in. A lot of people thought it could have been Scoot. Wasn't in this case. It was Chris Murray, and he definitely stepped up and had a big game when they needed him to. So hats off to him, absolutely. And if you want to get in on the chat, you go to YouTube where Weldon makes me laugh. He's like, I swear we win that game next year. Next year. Hey, when you got Dame out there and maybe a couple changes, we'll see what happens. He also says, quote, my friend said, people said I was crazy when I said I'd give up the Bucks first for McDaniels. Well, McDaniels is a pretty darn good piece, ain't he? He's phenomenal. He's turning into quite the player over there in Minnesota. They're lucky to have him. They got good balance over on that lineup. I like what they give to you. I mean, they have Mike Conley who doesn't play. They have Joe Ingles who doesn't play. Is he as good as he was when he was in Utah? Is Mike Conley as good as he was when he was in Memphis? The answer is no. But those are still guys you like to have in your locker room and, help you out. Mike Conley, I think, is great. And Naz Reid is such a good big man coming in off the bench. He gives you energy. Like, Naz Reid is the type of guy that if he were ever to play in Portland, it would probably take all of, one game for him to firmly get into Ed Davis territory. That's where he's going to be. He's that type of player. Lunch pail and a hard hat. Go to work. Type of player that Blazer fans love. So shout out to Naz. I actually think it's always fun to watch him come play. Now Sean says, I still think we need to see more out of Veit. And I think you're going to get there. Veit's still getting comfortable with what's going on. The thing is with Veit, just watch him shoot. He's got the shot. The shot's there. Those shots are going to fall. We've seen bad shooters go through hot spells. We've seen great shooters go through cold spells. Right now, the shot's just, it's a little cold. It's going to be there, though. Watch him shoot. Watch how he moves. I think he's going to be fine. I absolutely think he's going to be fine. It's some of those other guys you can get to step up a little bit, maybe stop making some boneheaded plays. Drew Holiday turning the ball over just a little too much for my liking from the vet point guard. Playing just a little too slow at times, which is also the thing I like about him, is his ability to slow it down when everyone else is moving too fast. But, yeah, we'll see what we get from Veit Krejci. Aaron Weldon says, I remember when Mike Conley was a rookie. Now, I remember. I laughed a while back when Evan Turner was on the Blazers. I was like, if you would have told me that in, whatever year that was, 2018, 2019, that at this point in time, Evan Turner would be the former Buckeye playing for the Blazers and Mike Conley would be the better pro than Greg Oden and still in the league, I would have told you you're crazy. Sometimes the NBA is just a little crazy. A little crazy. The wino on the chat says the script is that Chris was better than Keegan all along. Just watch, y'all. Hey, we'll see. We'll see. If you get a better version of Keegan, I'll take it. I don't see it right now. But what I love about him is just I think he's consistent. I don't think he is bad. I don't think he's great. I think he's good. And sometimes that's just what you need to be. Like you can trust him to be in the lineup when everybody's hurt and you need to start him. You can trust him to go play 5-10 minutes off the bench or more when you need him. Like there's nothing that he does exceptionally great, but there's nothing that he does exceptionally bad. And I like that about him. He's middle of the road for an NBA player, and that's a good thing sometimes. It's the guy that you can just trust to go do stuff. I will defend Chris Murray. I do not think he's terrible. Some people do. I do not. I do not. Air Weldon says Twins playing Parent Trap, but make it basketball. That would have been like. Here's the thing, Air Weldon. I know you're making a funny for the classic Parent Trap, also the remake of the Parent Trap, which technically was with Lindsay Lohan. That's a phenomenal movie. Good remake, by the way. But I do want to see that with all the twins who have come through the NBA. Like the Morris twins should have done it at one point. Especially when you're twins and you get all the same tattoos. Like, what are we doing? Murray and Keegan and Chris, come on, just switch it up one day. It'd be really funny. And then to watch what happens when the NBA decides, like, yeah, games have to be vacated because 2 ineligible players played for the opposite teams. I know this has never happened, and we're just spitballing, but it is kind of funny. I know. Ryan asks, why was Drew playing point when Scoot was in there? Reminded me last year with Scoot playing off the ball so much. Sometimes I think there's the benefit to having Scoot off ball in certain situations. I don't agree with it all the time, Ryan, but I do think the benefit to having him off ball in certain situations is the ability to then throw him back at point guard and know exactly what that 2 guard is thinking, to understand where that 2 guard's going to cut, to where he's looking for the ball, to where those plays will be. I think there's benefit to that, not somewhere you want to play him constantly in the long run, but I do think there's benefit to that. I also do think at times next year when Damian Lillard's healthy, Damian Lillard's not going to be the one playing most off ball. If you have Drew and you have Dame and you have Scoot, they're going to put the ball in Damian Lillard's hands. So it benefits you to get him comfortable off the ball as well. And then you can also move around, and you have the situations where it does. You can move your sets around, and you pick, you roll, you toss the ball around, get the ball into another playmaker's hands, and then find your open shooter. But I've always thought, Ryan, that is why sometimes you take your point guard and you put him in the 2 spot. Even though it sounds weird, it's just to me. I think it's a really important opportunity to learn how the other guys that you're going to pass the ball to might be thinking. Plus, maybe you want to see how Drew runs it. Maybe you do want to make him just a slightly better off-ball shooter. Maybe it gets you opportunities to, get him as a catch-and-shoot guy here and there and work on some things. So I think there's benefit there. But I do agree. I do like the ball in his hands more in that situation, especially tonight, because I thought he was really in control. Quite frankly, the worst play he had, and one that kind of hurts you pretty bad in the long run in what is a 3-point game, was at the end of the third quarter, where they're looking for one final shot. He gets trapped, can't get the ball out in time, turns into a turnover. Dante DiVincenzo gets the dunk with 0.8 seconds left. So I would have liked him to hold on to the ball better there. But yeah, that's my take on that. And yeah, you said good analysis. Thank you. That's just my take. I think I just always thought it's smart. And, you gotta get in the mind of your other players sometimes and find ways to get him better at multiple things, because that's what's going to keep him on the floor in the long run. All right, this is the 5th quarter. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you're like, who's Ryan? Who's Weldon? Who's Sean? Who is he talking to? Those are the guys' users' names on YouTube. And if you want to join the chat, go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and you can send your comments there, and I'll see them. We'll talk about them. You can also go grab your phone and send us text to the text line, text 88528, where we're getting a couple of texts coming through. One of them says, this loss has me feeling like Homer when he goes full Hulk when Edward hits the dagger 3 was the moment when I climbed into the treehouse for free donuts and fell in the trapdoor. Homer only goes full Hulk when he, has the radioactive breakdown in the test van, and the guy goes, I don't know how that happened. There was no radiation in the truck. like I don't. Hulk is Homer's funny. I love The Simpsons. You know that. Another one. When Denny Avdia first arrived, his shot wasn't falling. Veet will be fine. Thank you. I agree. We've seen that before, and Denny's shot has become more consistent. He still has his cold nights, but the difference between Denny and Veet is Veet's a pure shooter. Denny was not. And I think the shot from Veet is going to be fine. What I look for when a guy is not shooting the ball well is what are his mechanics like? What does he look comfortable when he shoots the ball? Is there something off? And there's nothing off about Veet. He looks extremely comfortable when he shoots the ball. In fact, I thought there was a three-pointer late in the game tonight where he got that shot off with everybody in his face and no room and drained it. He is very, very comfortable with the ball in his hands and shooting that ball. And when you have that comfort, the shot will eventually fall. It's just a matter of getting into a rhythm and getting used to playing with these guys. We talked about it the other day. One thing I've noticed about him, too, is like his spot-up threes. I think these guys struggle a little bit to pass open shooters the ball sometimes. And it's not just a Veet problem. How many times do any of the shooters on this team get the ball in the perfect shooting pocket? Doesn't happen a ton. Scoot's been better at it. He had some really good passes tonight. Denny can be good at it. Everyone else can be so-so. You got to get a shooter in a comfortable spot. Now, he has the mechanics and everything's there. The shot will fall. I'm definitely not worried about it. I agree with you there. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. When we come back, we're going to hit you with our drive of the night. We're going to go around the NBA. And the boss man, Chad Doing, is going to join us as well. This is the fifth quarter on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio, 620. over it. We're putting the headset on. We're chatting. That's not a bad game. You take the loss, but I like the way they played.
Yeah, I thought they played really well. I mean, going into the game, I knew the matchup was going to be tough. They don't match up well with Minnesota for a variety of different reasons. But I thought the intensity was there. You could tell that the guys were out there flying around. They were paying attention to detail. Aside from the mistakes that Coach mentioned after the game with, some of their coverages, especially, slipping under screens on Anthony Edwards, they struggled with that part. But, yeah, the effort was there, and I thought the guys battled really well. And, sometimes you play a really good game. It's just not enough to be able to beat a team like Minnesota. That is a tough basketball team that can hit you in a lot of different ways. But, a lot of great individual efforts tonight. I thought Chris Murray was terrific and shows that I'm an idiot because I was mad at Coach Splitter when we got word that he was going to start. I'm like, put Scoot in there for crying out loud. But Murray was dynamite, 7 of 10, 16 points, 5 boards. He provided a lot of energy early and late. I thought Scoot Henderson was effective tonight off the bounce. And, Drew Holiday had some terrific stretches throughout the course of the game. So, and Donovan Clingan, you and I talked about that battle. I thought Clingan held his own down low against Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid. So, yeah, good effort, but that's a quality basketball team. The key for Portland now is just to continue to move on with that same type of effort and purpose and make sure that they cash in on the road trip that's coming up because 4 of the 5 games are extremely winnable, and they have played well against Houston this year. So it's an opportunity for them to start to stack wins. The time is now for Portland to take advantage of, what the scheduling has given them over the course of the season. So I'm excited, but it's frustrating, man. But dang, it's like Anthony Edwards is tough, and Jaden McDaniels is freaking awesome. And then you throw in the rest of the guys, DiVincenzo with the 3-point shooting. They just got a lot of guys. I like their roster.
Yeah, I do too. And I do think if you play the way that they played tonight, like they're going to come back, with a winning record on that road trip because they're going to give teams fits. I like the way they played. Sometimes you meet a better team, and there's so much balance in Minnesota. And I don't know what you and Travis were saying to each other on your headsets. I know that there was multiple times where Sean Hyken and Casey Holdall and myself, who all sit next to each other in media row, just looked at each other and went, wow. Because Toumani Camara played absolute 10 out of 10 perfect defense on multiple possessions, and Anthony Edwards would still hit a shot. Like, that guy he's filthy with it.
He is really good. He has such a great understanding of, one, how to take advantage of a defender. He's incredibly strong. He's used to having the basketball in his hands with the high usage, so he handles the rock really well, and he can hit from all angles. He can shoot the 3. He can back you down into the post. He's crafty in transition. There's nothing he can't do. He's tough, and he's a fiery competitor out there. And I'd love to see Toumani Camara going after it. We saw a lot of guys battling him, but that guy is he's a killer.
Yeah, and one thing I did like tonight too, Chad, and of course health matters in the long run. We'll see what happens in free agency if that's a guy they try to retain. But you can give teams fits because you notice Julius Randle started to get a little irritated because they put Toumani on him quite a bit tonight too, and then they sub Toumani out, and then Matisse Thybulle comes in and gets right back up. There was no off time for those guys because of the rotations with Toumani and Matisse Thybulle, and those are some things you can build on.
Yeah, there's no question. I thought Thybulle played really well tonight. He had some big shots. He was active defensively. I like him. I thought Krejci was productive tonight, and I thought Jeremy Grant, he didn't shoot the ball extremely well, but, man, he was so good at getting to the foul line. He did not fear going into the paint against the Timberwolves tonight. He showed great toughness.
Okay, now, I know that you've had to deal with this before because you're just a little bit older than me, but it finally happened. I had my moment today where I realized I'm old.
Okay.
Yeet was in the house.
Who?
Exactly. A famous rapper from here in Portland. Went to Lake Ridge High School. Apparently, Scoot Henderson loves him. He was courtside. He was giving away shirts. He was all over the Blazers' social media, which is absolutely awesome. After the game, I mean, there was dozens of kids trying to get down to get an autograph, and I said,
was that the guy who was sitting next to the lady that had the veil on?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And he had the glasses, wearing the white shirt, and that was him. And, I had no idea who Yeet was. I did my research, looked him up. Okay, local artist. But this was the first time in all my years that someone came through and they were hyped up and I had no idea what they were talking about and hit me like a ton of bricks, and I feel really old at the moment.
Gosh, I had no idea. I saw him. I was like, It must be someone famous. I had no idea.
So,
and not only did I not know him, but that's not in my genre, so there would be no reason for me to stumble across his music.
hey, well, speaking of which, I tried calling you out. Not calling you out, but defending you on social during the Bad Bunny thing.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't say anything about Bad Bunny, or you were a Bad Bunny.
His halftime show was garbage.
I thought it was good, but I looked at it from a production standpoint because there's things that just I geek out over, like good camera angles and stuff. I like that, but I don't know his music. You don't know his music, and I tweeted at you.
He's just not in my wheelhouse. He's not my genre.
I know he's extremely popular. And I like him as a wrestler. He's awesome for his one show. But I joked with you. I was like, oh, a guy who Hall & Oates is his favorite band. I wouldn't be surprised he doesn't know who Bad Bunny is or Yeet. But then you said Hall & Oates isn't your favorite.
No.
And I that shocked me. I would have put money on that. So you never answered who is number one.
It's the Eagles.
The Eagles.
Yeah,
okay.
That's my number one. Hall & Oates are great, but the Eagles are, they're my number one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just felt blindsided.
I have a.
I think you know someone.
I've had a long-term man crush on Don Henley. That's my guy right there. Basically, just so you know, if you play the drums and sing really well, I'm a big fan. So Phil Collins, Don Henley, Karen Carpenter, they're in an elite group because of their abilities, multi-talented. Love that.
Wonder if Yeet can play the drums.
And based on what I just mentioned, that would explain why I'm not familiar with Bad Bunny or Yeet. There you go.
I just thought it was funny,
but
man.
You know what? Most people are influenced by the music that they grew up listening to around their parents, the era in which they grew up. And so I think what happens for most of us, I got to a certain age, I'm in my wheelhouse. So anywhere from 67, 68, all the way up to about 90, 91, and I don't listen to music outside of that. I've even tried to find new music that I like today, and there's just nothing that appeals to my ear.
Okay.
And I'm not a lyrics guy, so I don't listen to music. I couldn't tell you what the majority of artists, what they're singing, even the songs I've listened to over and over again. So I'm not moved by lyrics. I don't care. I just know what sounds good to my ear and whether or not I want to listen to it.
Yeah.
And some people are totally different. They certain songs speak to them. I've never had a song speak to me. I just know what sounds good to my ear and what I like to listen to. So
I'm with you.
That's how I roll.
But I listen to a lot of different eras because there's new music that I like. I listen to music from bands who sing in different languages just because it just sounds good. Then I take the time to try to translate it and learn what they're saying. But I still am like 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah.
That rock music was the best.
70s, 80s, and 90s is incredible. But, as I've gotten older, too, my musical tastes have changed. I listen to a lot of jazz now.
Yeah.
Both old school jazz and New Orleans jazz and smooth jazz. I love jazz because it's more complex and, they're pretty talented with the different work they can do with the instruments and stuff. So I like it.
Absolutely, they are. All right, the Blazers battle hard tonight. They fall to Minnesota, 124-121. Did any other games around the league impact them in the standings, though? Let's find out. It's time for an NBA scoreboard report. All right, let's take a look at what happened tonight around the association. Final scores coming down the pipe. In Indiana, the Pacers fall to the 76ers, 135-114. The Wizards fall to the Hawks, 119-98. Jonathan Kuminga in his debut for the Hawks, 27 points and 7 rebounds. The Mavericks beat the Brooklyn Nets 123-114, and you couple that with the Blazers' loss. That means the Mavericks are now 5.5 back. Still 6. 6. It's 6. Improved to 6. It's Memphis who's 5.5 back, so we'll see what happens there. The Thunder 116-107 over the Raptors. The Knicks fall to the Cavs 109-94. Charlotte absolutely dominates Chicago 131-99. Brandon Miller led the way with 23 points. Final in Milwaukee, the Bucks 128, the Heat 117. Another one that does loom important for the Blazers, even though they lost. This was a good result. The Warriors fall to the Pelicans 113-109. The Suns fall to the Celtics 97-81. So think about that for the Suns right now. They don't have their best players in Booker and Dylan Brooks, and they're struggling a little bit. They dropped 77 against the Blazers, then 81 tonight against the Celtics. Their offense is just non-existent. They were led by Colin Gillespie with 15 points. The Magic beat the Lakers 110-109, and of course, the Timberwolves beat the Blazers 124-121. Don't you love those nights? You're like 124-121. You're like, 121 points. Would have beat the Magic or the Lakers. Would have beat the Celtics or the Suns. Would have beat the Warriors or the Pelicans. You start going down the list. Would have won most of the games tonight, but not the one that mattered against Minnesota. So now you take a look at the updated standings. With the win, Minnesota does jump up to 5th. They are 9 games back. And we talked about this a little bit in the pregame show, how things are tight because they're just a half game out of 3rd place right now. Houston and Denver tied for 3rd place at 8.5 back. So Minnesota is right there. As we said, yeah, they might come in ranked 6, but they're a very good team. They are right there, might very well end the season as a top 3 team. Now, those games that did matter, the Suns falling, the Golden State Warriors falling, those teams don't gain any ground on you, which is nice. Phoenix has now lost 2 in a row. Golden State has lost 1 in a row. The Clippers have also lost 2 in a row. Memphis has lost 2 in a row. They're the first team on the outside right now. Dallas has won 2 in a row. That is why they sit 6 games back of both Portland and the Clippers, who are tied at 17 games back overall. Now, with all those losses and everything that happened tonight, Portland is 2.5 games behind Golden State and 5 games behind Phoenix for the 7th seed in the West. Keep in mind, things get a little bit easier as they go through this next chunk of the schedule. A 5-game road trip coming up that is definitely easy. I'm going to compare that to some of the other games they've played. They'll go on the road against Chicago, Charlotte, Atlanta, Memphis, and Houston. A lot of winnable games there ahead. All right, we're going to take a break here on the 5th quarter. When we come back, going to head to the coach's corner here from head coach Tiago Splitter and hand out a game ball before we wave goodbye and go home and nap and get ready for this road trip. Chris Burkhardt here with you on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. All right, let's look at what's going on here. Shacker, I turned you down a little bit, but see, Ryan, at least I wasn't alone. You were there with me. The Vino Wino. Try Ferment Brewing in Hood River for sours. Awesome brewery. I know you can get them in P-Town. Don't live there anymore, but nicer beer purveyors should have them. Okay. Like I said, I'll try that. I got buddies who live out in Hood River. Give me a reason to go say hi. The Eagles. I like the Eagles. The Eagles are good. You guys know mine. I'm a Metallica guy all the way. All day long. Love them. Best thrash metal band of all time. My musical tastes are very all over the place, though. I would listen to anything. Like, I'll listen to anything. I'm not even playing. I'll go from Metallica to Beethoven and have fun with it. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. I listened to a band called Alien Weaponry. Super fun band out of Aotearoa, a.k.a. New Zealand. They are of Maori descent, and so they sing a lot of their songs in ancient Maori, and they're a heavy metal band, and they're all young kids, too. It's just, oh, my gosh. The Eagles of death metal, heck yeah. But, yeah, Alien Weaponry is one that I like. The Sword is a band that I heard here open for Metallica. I love them. I think they're considered a weed rock, but they're good. There's not a lot that I don't like. Like I'll be like, I every once in a while I'll just be driving down the street. Like I said, I'm a metalhead. I love metal. And I'm like, you know what? I'm craving some Tech 9. Throw a little rap in there. Throw in some Tupac. Maybe I'll have to throw in some Yeet. Queens of the Stone Age. I can go with the flow. It's like a super band right there. The Foo Fighters, Nirvana, all grunge. All grunge was great. Alice in Chains, Temple of the Dog, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, all good. Foo Fighters. Cool Keith. Welcome back into the fifth quarter. Chris Burkhardt here with you. Michael Shacker picking some crew to come back into. Don't get me started on the crew. We all have hot takes. My hot take is that band's overrated. I'm not a Motley Crue guy. Oh, my gosh. Dr. Feelgood has a good beat. You know, Smoking in the Boys' Room is what it is. But that band is meh. But that's just me. People will get mad at me for saying that. No, that's just my taste. If you love Motley Crue, rock out. Not everyone likes Metallica. Everyone, my uncles used to always pick me. Oh my gosh, you want to listen to Metallica? They're so annoying. Oh yeah, it's just because you were, in high school when like the Black Album came out and they got overplayed on radio, and now you don't like them. Metallica's awesome. I mean, it's got to feel good when you're in your mid-60s and you're still selling out stadium tours. It's got to be nice. This is the fifth quarter. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. Sometimes we go off the rails when we talk about music because you just have to. Music is awesome. Like I said, I felt old today because there was an artist in the house today that apparently Scoot Henderson loves by the name of Yeet. He's from Portland. Went to Lake Ridge High School. I had no idea who he was. Now I'm going to have to look him up. My daughters are, he's a little too old. Not the music my daughters are into. I learn about artists through my children. That's why I like Sabrina Carpenter. Not afraid to admit it. Yeah, she's good. But my daughters love her. So you got to listen to what your daughters like. I know Chad's been drugged to a couple concerts. He's a half Swiftie, I'm pretty sure. Just because, come on, Dad, you gotta go. Oh man, no. I grew up listening to my dad's music rather than making my dad listen to mine, and then that influenced my musical taste, and then I tried to bring him on to new bands. Every single time we drive to my parents' lake house, my dad used to have this beautiful Jeep Wrangler, top off. We're just driving down 26, radio all the way up, and it was always AC/DC or Van Halen or Led Zeppelin, and that was why I love rock music. My dad. When for the longest time, you remember back in the day, you could set custom ringtones. I mean, you still can, but it's more work. Yeah, it was Panama by Van Halen every time Dad called. Yep. Sometimes Dad's musical tastes, they wear on you. And sometimes what your coach tells you to do will help you get a victory. Tiago Splitter had a game plan tonight, and apparently they struggled to stick to it. Just a couple mistakes in this game led to a close win for Minnesota. Talking about drop coverages and a couple of things that he wanted to do to defend Anthony Edwards. It just didn't happen tonight for the Trailblazers. And what did he have to say about it? Let's find out. It's time to head to the Coach's Corner.
It's time for the Coach's Corner with Tiago Splitter on Fifth Quarter. Presented by Coors Light. Choose chill, Portland.
Overall, I think we compete and play hard, and then sometimes it's not enough.
What were the mistakes you said with the game plan?
Just some coverages that we talked about going under some screens against Edwards, but in general, I think the effort was there, the good intention was there, but like I said, that's sometimes not enough.
You talk about Edwards. How did you feel like you guys defended him in the second half? It seemed like after getting, 25 in the first half, you guys were able to somewhat slow him down.
He's one of the best players in this league, and sometimes even contesting shots is not enough. You got to send two guys on here. I think the first half, we tried to play straight up. We had the plan to go double team in the second half, but then kind of like he slowed down a little bit, and I think we did a better job on him in contesting shots, going over screens. But like I said, Jaden McDaniels was impressive defensively and offensively. Not just Edwards.
How tough was it to, contain, Gobert on the defensive end tonight? That was big night for him.
I think overall we did a good job of DC space in the court and the three-point line, so you take a little bit Gobert out of the paint. I think we were not smart enough on some decisions that we drove against him and McDaniels, those elite rim protection. So that's something that we got to make better decisions there, because it's either a turnover or a block shot. Against those two guys, they're elite protecting the rim.
You had talked about in the pregame about just you were excited to see the team kind of chase this player, for the first time. That was a team that's been in the Western Conference Finals twice. Or does it kind of give you a taste of what's to come as these guys do kind of chase that playoff berth?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to celebrate, like more wins, but we compete against a great team. Like I said, full-strength team with guys like Rudy Gobert that protects the rim, Randall, Edwards, McDaniels. I think that's a pretty good team out there, and I think it was just a couple of details that gave them the win. But I think going out on the road for a little bit is important to kind of like keep getting, taking care of those little details and get better. Effort was there, so that's something that we need every night. We cannot go lower than that.
And there you hear from head coach Tiago Splitter, and as he said, you get to go on this road trip now, and hopefully that does a good to kind of build off what they've been doing, get some time together, force some, you're in the hotels, you're on the planes, you're on the buses, extra time to just focus and hone it in, and just kind of sounded like a guy, we just missed a few things, and those few little things hurt us tonight just because the team we were playing was really good. They took advantage of that. Still thought the team played really, really well. He mentioned it right there. There's no such thing as, the moral victory, but it is nice to play that type of game against a playoff team. And I'll tell you this much. First thing I said to Chad when he got up here was like that. To me, Minnesota is a sleeper playoff team because they play physical basketball. And you get into a 7-game series with San Antonio and Oklahoma City, the way to beat those two teams is to play super, super physical basketball. That's a playoff sleeper team to me. They're going to be good. And they got the win tonight. But like I said, it was still a good game. It wasn't all bad. There was plenty to like. Who specifically did we like? It's time to hand out a game ball.
Who is the MVP tonight for the Trailblazers? It's time for Game Balls on Fifth Quarter, live from the Coors Light Studios. Coors Light, choose chill.
All right, this one, I'm going to give the game ball tonight. I'm going to give it to Chris Murray. Getting into that starting lineup because of injuries, did not play terribly at all. 16 points, 7 of 10 shooting, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. He had 5 rebounds. He had an assist. He had 2 block shots, and he was doing work on the glass. When they needed him to show up big, he did. Got the rebounds that they needed. He got the defensive stops that they needed. I thought it was just overall really, really solid game from Chris Murray, and hopefully he can build on that and they get more of that because it's always a good thing when you can get your bench guys thrown into situations they're not usually in to play well like that. That's what he did today. All right, that is going to do it for the fifth quarter tonight. Thank you to everybody for tuning in as always. Hopefully you got some musical, vibes in your brain to go listen to. Do you fall asleep to music? I used to all the time. I used to always fall asleep. It was talk radio in the morning when I woke up, but it was always music at night. Turn on Rock 101, KUFO. Fall asleep to music. Shout out to old school rock music stations. Go listen to some Metallica. Remember, Alien Weaponry. That's a good band. If you're into Ancient Maori. People are like, I don't like Bad Bunny because I can't understand him. Yeah, well, I don't understand a word of Ancient Maori. It doesn't mean the music's bad. You just like what you like. So find what you like and listen to it. Like I said, my musical tastes are weird, friends, because my number one favorite band of all time is Metallica. And if you had to guess who my number 2 all-time favorite band was, you probably wouldn't guess because they are not even close to the same genre as Metallica. Because my second favorite band of all time is Blues Traveler. That's right, John Popper. Hook. The album 4, phenomenal. Mwah. The Mountain Winds Again. Oh, so good. Regarding Steven. Oh, such a good band. See? You gotta be all over the place. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter what I say as long as I sing with inflection. Listen. You can't hear it on the YouTube stream, but over on radio, Shacker's plopping Hook by Blues Traveler. Just one of the greatest songs of all time. Also made better by the fact that, like, the song itself is just full of gibberish that doesn't make sense, but the chorus is really good, making the whole point that in music you can do nothing as long as you have a really good hook. People will listen, and then it ended up being their best song. At least their most popular song. Maybe not their best song. But Blues Traveler's awesome. All right, Blazers will be back in action in just a few days on Thursday in Chicago. First game of a 5-game road trip that sees them go to Chicago, Charlotte, Atlanta, Memphis, and Houston. The Hook brings you back. Hopefully when Portland comes back, they have a winning record on that trip. That game on Thursday tips off at 5 o'clock, which means Blazers game day will start your coverage for the night at 3. I will be out. I have OSAA State Wrestling Championships this weekend, so the man, Brendan Slaughter, will be filling in for me on both Thursday and Saturday. I will be back with you on Sunday. Make sure you're tuning in, sending him all the texts, getting it on the chat, and making him host a great show. Once again, final score here at Moda Center tonight. The Trailblazers, 121. The Timberwolves, 124. You guys have been awesome. Rip City, we'll talk to you on Thursday. Oh, Keith, you came in right at the right time. That's such a good bit there when he breaks off. I sang that it's one of my go-to karaoke songs, and my buddies are always like, but that spot where he sings really fast. Oh, no, you got to hit it. You just take one deep breath and you lean in. Yeah. It's such a good song, Keith. I'm going to go listen to it as soon as I go home right now. And like I said, regarding Steven, the live version, live at the Fall, it'll make your hair stand up if you haven't heard that one before. So good. So you see you killing me. So desperate I sing to thee of love. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I tried, but no, in fact I lied. It could be financial suicide, but I've got too much pride inside to hide or slide. I'll deals on the side and let it ride until I die, and only then shall I abide in spite of catchy little tunes or hip 3-minute ditties. I want to bust all your balloons. I want to burn all of your cities to the ground. I'm found, I will not mess around unless I play. Then hey, I will go on all day. Hear what I say, I have a prayer to pray. That's really all this was. When I'm feeling stuck and need a buck, I don't rely on luck because the 5th quarter is over and I'm going home. Thank you for that. I just had to do that just because it was you, Keith. I had to sing some Blues Traveler. I wasn't even prepared. I didn't even warm up for my John Popper voice. Yeah. I'm having too much fun for 11 o'clock at night. You guys have been absolutely awesome. We'll hook you and see you later.